Over the past week, Somaliland has been the topic of conversation for media outlets around the world. Now, a delegation led by Foreign Minister Dr. Issa Kade was the cause for the mostly positive stir. The delegation met with Taiwanese President Tsai Ing-wen and other top government officials from Taiwan. Now, my guest today is Somaliland's representative to Taiwan, Ambassador Mohamed Hagi. Thank you for joining us today, Ambassador, to shed some light on Somaliland and Taiwan's relationship of mutual cooperation, as well as last week's highly documented visit by the Somaliland delegation to Taipei. Welcome again, Ambassador.
Thank you very much, Amina. Thank you very much for having me here.
Okay, let's get right into it. Ambassador, when we spoke last year, Somaliland and Taiwan were marking 1 year of diplomatic cooperation. And since then, there has been a myriad of activity between the two countries. If you would, as a starter, give us more insight into what your office has achieved since your appointment.
Thank you very much, Amina. I'm very much appreciated on your that you're having me here today. Taiwan and Somaliland established a highly official relationship in 2020, almost 2 years ago now. The relationship was going absolutely well. There was lots of benefits between Somaliland and Taiwan on the areas of health, investment, as well as other technical assistance, in which most of the things Somaliland was receiving some assistance like education, ICT, some humanitarian democracy support, and many other areas. Since we established office here, it was about, I think, 1 year and 7 months now. Somaliland and Taiwan signed a farm-out agreement through Genel Energy to produce Somaliland's oil. We also have working in the areas of health cooperation. A modern digital hospital is about to be built in Somaliland Ferry Zone. It's a multi-million-dollar project in which to enhance the health of Somaliland people. So many areas has been achieved. There's lots of other things to be done. So far, the cooperation, Somaliland Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation arrived here with a very heavy delegation to pursue 4 days official visit in Taipei. That was kind of an expanding the relationship between Somaliland and Taiwan. So there are other main areas in which we are going to work with the government of Taiwan. So the relationship is absolutely going well, and we have achieved a lot. Last time I told you that it was the pandemic that hindered the cooperation of the two countries. But now, as the COVID-19 and the pandemic subsides, lots of progress will be taking place this year and next year, actually.
Well, congratulations on all that has been achieved since you were posted to Taipei. If you would allow me to move on, Ambassador. Last week, Taiwan hosted a high-level delegation from the Somaliland government, led by Foreign Minister Dr. Issa Kade. The ministers for planning, finance, fishery and livestock were also with him. Now, the delegation held a number of meetings with the Taiwanese government. What were the outcomes of these meetings?
Yes, there was after receiving an official invitation from the government of Taiwan, there was a high-level delegation arrived Taiwan on 8th of February until 12th of February, that 5 days arrangement. That was so productive. The delegation led by the Foreign Minister of the Republic of Somaliland met with Her Excellency, the President of this country, President Tsai Ing-wen, and the Foreign Minister, as well as other 5 cabinet ministers of Taiwan and NGOs and companies, construction companies, as well as other trade companies. The delegation also met with the Taiwan External Trade and Development Council, TITRA, which is a very, very big organization, that always invests and do trade and business with other countries. So those are many multifaceted areas in which Taiwan government and Somaliland government, led by the foreign minister, has discussed already. And there's lots of achievements, but the achievements will be finalized very soon in the coming 2-3 months, so that we are going to prepare some memorandum of understandings of every field in which it's been discussed here, in the areas of trade and investment, as well as infrastructure and ICT. Lots of things to be finalized very soon. Invitation was absolutely the first invitation being provided by the government of Taiwan to invite such a high-level delegation from Somaliland, and lots of things has been achieved, and we will finalize the outcome of the visit very soon once we prepare all the documentations on the MOUs and other agreements, including mining and energy agreement, as well as health agreement, which would be very big. And we're also preparing to make a kind of an economic cooperation agreement between Somaliland and Taiwan. That kind of an agreement will allow Somaliland businesses, Somaliland government, and people of Somaliland, that Taiwanese giant businesses and corporations can invest and do business in Somaliland, as well as it will facilitate trading between the two countries' businesses. So lots of things to be achieved very soon once we finalize those kind of agreements.
Now, Ambassador, there has been chatter from political analysts suggesting that Taiwan could perhaps support Somaliland in critical infrastructure, including civil aviation, entailing the command and control of air traffic. Now, it is public knowledge that Somaliland's airspace is currently being controlled by the federal government in Somalia. Will Taiwan be offering support to the government in taking control of its airspace?
If I just go back a little bit to the delegation's arrival here, the central intention of the visit is to strengthen and foster our highly official relations, which is mutually beneficial to our friendly countries. The current bilateral agreement, the bilateral accord between Somaliland and Taiwan, signed by our two foreign ministers in 2020, indicate many areas of cooperation, including political cooperation, economic cooperation, security, of course, cooperation, and cultural relations between the two countries. So it's multifaceted, cooperation in which we can cooperate in areas in which we see fit when the right time comes. So I can't say anything about the airspace this time, but our cooperation is quite multifaceted, and we can cooperate in any parts of what we have agreed when we were establishing this relationship. But I cannot comment on your question, which is about the airspace.
Quite understandable, Ambassador. Now, does the cooperation cover maritime and port security? What about domain communication and navigation? And can we expect the capacitating of Somaliland's Coast Guard to effectively patrol Somaliland's territorial waters?
If I go back a little bit about the, Coast Guard, Somaliland, has 850 kilometers of coast. It's a very, very coast, very, very long coast, And that coast was peaceful. It was contributing, and, when it comes to Somaliland locates a very, very strategic location in the Horn of Africa, where 1/3 of the commodities and goods world trade passes in that route. We know that it was a piracy in 2006, so there wasn't a single incident of piracy in Somaliland. The Somaliland Coast Guard protected and prevented any threats, not only from Somaliland, territorial waters, but the international territorial waters, and it was quite safe. So if the international community, and other countries or who have some interest is because if this is a trading route, can invest or can try to support this and do some assistance, security assistance, in order to secure this important area. That would be good, something that the government of Somaliland can really welcome. And Taiwan, if they want to cooperate with Somaliland in that area, Somaliland government will welcome. But again, it's a question in which I don't really want to comment for now.
I understand. Thank you for that, Ambassador. Now, earlier you mentioned resource management. The ministers from Somaliland met with the Taiwanese oil and gas tycoon company CPC Taiwan. There was the merger with Genel Energy. Could you tell us more about the recent concession agreement with CPC to drill oil in Somaliland?
Somaliland has a potential of oil and gas. These are kind of a extractive industry. So there was a Genel Energy in place in which give some concessions, farm out concessions to the Taiwanese state-owned company CPC, and the stake of CPC, I think, is about 49% of what Genel has got, while Genel's stake is about 51%. And CPC is going to invest around $40 million on drilling by 2023, and also they are going to establish an operational office in Somaliland. CBC is going to establish that office in Somaliland. It's already been done now, but they will establish probably by March this year. And once that's done, then they will try to do their observation if they can find other blocks in which Taiwan can do some concessions with the government of Somaliland. But for this farm out, it's between Genel and CPC, 49% for the CPC and 51% for Genel, and only the government of Somaliland authorizes these concessions between Genel and CPC. But Genel is willing to expand its wings to Somaliland's blocks of oil and gas. So they are, as I told you before, they are establishing some operational office in Somaliland in order to see whether the Somaliland's quite potential they can get money some other blocks in which they can drill on their own. So the negotiations are ongoing, and we will see the coming 1-2 years to come whether CPC is going to make some expansion in Somaliland's oil fields.
Ambassador, where exactly are these oil blocks located, and which regions will benefit directly from these investments?
Currently, I think the one in Genel is in the eastern part of the country, somewhere in Togdere area, and it's called Block 13, and I think Block 10 as well. There is something going on in Block 10 as well. So those blocks are in Togdere region, in that area. Of course, so all Somaliland people will benefit, not only the people who live in Togdere region, but most of the people in Somaliland and the government of Somaliland can benefit if this oil being produced. Of course, it's the people in the region will benefit mostly. They will be the first beneficiaries of what's been produced. But as I said, all the 5.7 million people in Somaliland will benefit these concessions, as well as the companies who are going to invest, like CPC and Genel. They all benefit. It's a win-win situation. And I hope that it will be succeeded very soon. The drilling will start 2023, and just some months to go. And let's see what comes up from this drilling. And I hope it will be a success.
Of course, these are great advancements to look forward to. Yes. Now, if we can move over to the development cooperation front now, Taiwan ICDF has supported Somaliland in multiple sectors. When we spoke last year, you told us about healthcare and agriculture, ICT and innovation. Which are some of the industries that have the most cooperation? Could you maybe highlight some of the planned development projects in Somaliland?
The current area of cooperation is health development, agriculture development, energy and minerals, ICT, which is information and communication technology, democracy and elections as well, scholarships, humanitarian assistances, NGO support, channeling to the government of Somaliland, as well as the government resources channeled to the people of Somaliland. And areas of cooperation have also been incorporated in technical activities that augment the level of knowledge, skills, technical know-how, such as healthcare, education, democracy, agriculture, assistance, information, and communication technology, as I said it, as well as cultural exchanges and educational programs. So in ICDF and other non-governmental organizations from Taiwan is going to, because Taiwan is they are very advanced in terms of ICT and health, education, those sectors. And Somaliland is going to learn from the Taiwanese, development from multi fields like ICT and education, health, agriculture, fishing. Those are the areas in which Somaliland is going to get assistance, kind of a capacity building in the first place, which is training and giving some assistance, and as well as capability building, which is getting some know-how and equipment in these areas, so that young people in Somaliland, which counts the around 70% of the people of Somaliland, can also benefit from these kind of corporations in the future. So those are the areas in which we are going to focus, to learn from, in terms of economic development, to learn from Taiwan in all these sectors. Education is very, very important. Now we have around 33 students here who doing master's degree and PhD in Taiwan. We're expecting that we can get more number this year as well, and we are also expecting to get some exposure visits from our government staff to come to Taiwan as soon as the COVID subsides and these kind of restrictions in Taiwan been lifted by the government of Taiwan, so they can get training from other institutions, the counterpart institutions. So these are the areas in which we are going to really benefit. And I'm so glad that things are going very, very well. Taiwan knows also that Somaliland is quite beneficial because of its strategic locations and potential. We have a cheap labor in Somaliland, so Taiwanese companies can invest in Somaliland. They can do business in Somaliland. We locate a very strategic position in the Horn of Africa and East Africa, in which Somaliland connects around 16 landlocked countries in Africa. So Taiwan, in order Taiwan companies to engage with African countries in terms of business, they can get the space in Somaliland, so they can engage other African countries. Africa is really booming, and the economy of Africa is growing so much than any other continent, any other country in the world. So Somaliland is very quite potential for Taiwanese, do engagement in terms of business and of course if they want in politics and diplomacy. So we giving them a gate and resources and raw material and extract in terms of primary, so mainly the primary and the secondary sector is really booming in Somaliland. Financial sector is also another area in which the Taiwanese financial institutions can also make use of. So there are lots of things that the two countries can work together, and I can see that lots of things are taking place. Lots of good things will happen in the future, in which the two countries can utilize it.
Now, Ambassador, unfortunately, the productive sectors such as livestock, fishery and agriculture are largely underdeveloped. But with good reason, of course. Has Somaliland's government requested concrete investments into these sectors? If yes, could you shed some light on the sectors with the highest priority?
If I just answer the question on these sectors, new sectors, these are not new sectors. Of course, fishing sector is a very new sector. in which the two countries are not yet cooperated. We are going to establish a memorandum of understanding about fishing rights and investing the fishing industry in Somaliland. That will be a sector in which we are now working on. Those MOUs I've been talking about. One of them is the fishing area. Agriculture, of course, Somaliland and Taiwan already cooperated in this area. There is a demonstration farm in Somaliland being established and invested the Taiwanese government, particularly the ICDF. This industry is really working efficiently now, and it's about to increase 20% of vegetable and fruits in Somaliland. Taiwanese are going to teach the farmers of Somaliland to understand how to produce more amount of vegetables and fruits in Somaliland through fertilizing and helping and assisting the equipments and technology they need, so that they can learn from them. They can understand how new fashion of agriculture is now being settled, because what we do now in Somaliland is a primitive agriculture system, quite primitive. The new technology allows you to produce more, and also in the area that in which we live, which is we mostly receive less rain in the season, so it's something very difficult for farmers. So drop irrigation and utilizing the scarcity of the resources, particularly the water resources in Somaliland, is something that we are working with the Taiwanese agriculture sector. Newly, we are going to also sign a new MOU, memorandum of understanding, between the two agriculture ministries, Taiwanese Agriculture Council as well as the Somaliland Agriculture Ministry, so that we are going to expand these kind of projects into money fields in many areas in Somaliland regions. So we expect in the coming 5 years, coming 10 years, that Somaliland will produce more, crops, more vegetables, more fruits in Somaliland, and we also learning from them, as well as we are going to receive some technological good equipment to do farming for our farmers. So these projects are underway, and we are working on it. But now there is a demonstration and experimental farm, in Somaliland, working very efficiently, and there will be more demonstration farms, as well as equipments, as well as agriculture technology and training to the Somaliland farmers and the government and the agriculture ministry in Somaliland as well, provided by the government of Taiwan, particularly the Council of Agriculture in Taiwan. So we work in these kind of agreements, and there will be lots of trainings and capacity building and capability enhancement projects coming in agriculture sector, as well as the fishing sector. So those kind of agreements are underway, and we are going to finalize them this year.
Wrapping up now, last week's visit by Somaliland's delegation was met with a very malcontent China, and with reference to Dr. Issa Kade's comments about weathering Chinese pressure to cut off ties with Taiwan, and the reaction of China and Somalia. Very disgruntled reactions, of course. What is your take on this, Ambassador?
I don't want to say anything more than what His Excellency, our Foreign Minister, already said. He reiterated that Somaliland is a sovereign, independent nation state in the Horn of Africa. That's what the minister indicated, and whoever we are going to make relations with, it's up to Somaliland people, up to the government of Somaliland. No country in the whole world can dictate exactly to us, because we can't dictate to other countries. No country can dictate to another country what its foreign policy could be. So we are friend to the international community. We are not isolating any country. We are going to build relations in every country, including China, of course. Why not? And as we are an independent country, so our relations with Taiwan is not harming any country, completely not. It's a beneficial, relationship. It's a very good relationship in which the two people of Somaliland and Taiwan are going to benefit. It's a economic and a relationship. It's a special relationship, and that's what it is, and it's not completely, harming Somalia or other country. And what we believe is that we're a sovereign nation, and we need respect from other countries, and we are going to respect every country in the world. We are a very reliable country. We don't want to do any mistakes to any other country. So that's the case, and that's what my minister already mentioned. So I think the world and the other countries will understand that. There are so many countries that understood already the situation of Somaliland and the situation of Taiwan. It's a situation that we need to benefit from one another, because we are absent from many international, arenas. We are Taiwan and Somaliland are both non-UN member states, and we are excluded from the international financial institutions and many other multinational institutions, and to come together and try to help each other is something that it's quite logic, and the world understands that, and we are going to help each other. We're not going to harm other countries, and this is what the relationship between Somaliland and Taiwan is about.
Well, that's all we have time for today. Our guest has been Somaliland's representative to Taiwan, Ambassador Mohamed Hagi. Ambassador, thank you so much for joining us and giving us valuable insight into the blossoming relationship between Taiwan and Somaliland. Thank you, Ambassador.
Thank you for having me. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you.